All right, everyone, right off the bat, let's take a look at this weekend slate of games. We are full on in conference play from here on out, and the fight for the right to play in the Big 12 title game gets kicked into full gear this Saturday. Hey everybody, I'm Aaron Pryor. This is Big 12 Big Football presented by Dr. Pepper. Thanks for joining me. This is one of the best times of year. October is on the horizon. Non-conference play is through. You're going to start to get a sense of what your team's going to look like for the rest of the year. As far as the Big 12 as a whole, nobody has a losing record, and only one team is at even 500 to this point. 3 teams coming into this weekend are coming off of bye weeks from last week. 2 of them meet up in Norman on Saturday morning. Of course, talking about Texas Tech and Oklahoma here, when these 2 teams get together, points galore should always be expected. Tech and Oklahoma have combined for at least 70 points in every game since 2013, and even in that 2013 game, they combined for 68 total points. The Sooners have won the last 7 in a row in this matchup, and in that stretch, OU is averaging 50 points and nearly 600 yards of offense. This, of course, will be Jalen Hurts' Big 12 league play debut. He currently has a passer efficiency rating of 250.2. Now, that takes into account attempts, completions, yards, touchdowns, and interceptions into this mathematical equation. Now, in the NFL, we all know about passer rating. The perfect passer rating is 158.3. It's different in college. There's not a cap on what the number can be, but Hurts would have a perfect passer rating if we used the NFL formula through the first 3 games.
Yeah, he's a very smart player, very patient. He's an underrated thrower. I don't think that'll, I think he's going to have some opportunities to show the kind of thrower that he can be. Great athlete. And a very strong competitor, very mentally tough person.
Texas Tech heads to Norman without its starting quarterback, Allen Bowman. As you know, he suffered a shoulder injury against Arizona, and according to head coach Matt Wells, will be out for, quote, several weeks. Texas Tech does bring in an improved defense, though the Raiders haven't quite faced a passing attack quite like Oklahoma's. Through 3 games, Tech is only giving up 133 passing yards per game. That's 3rd in the country. Another big part of the defense right now has been the play of senior linebacker Jordyn Brooks, whose 5.5 tackles for loss ranks 2nd in the league and is top 10 in the nation. With a new scheme in place coming into this season, Jordyn knew that it's his last year to prove people wrong and change the narrative around Texas Tech's defense.
Just that we can play defense. I'm tired of talking about it. I've learned you got to show it because nobody want to hear what you got to say. So, just show that we play defense and we can win games in this league.
Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt will have the call at 11 a.m. Central Time over on Big Fox. The other team coming off a bye week, the Kansas State Wildcats. They head to Stillwater to lock up with a high-octane Oklahoma State team. As you know, K-State most recently went down to Starkville and came out with an impressive victory on the road against an SEC foe. From a distance, you say, oh, Kansas State is playing good defense and running the ball. Not much has changed. And that can't be further from the truth. Through 3 games, the Cats are averaging 280 yards a game on the ground. Also, K-State has 10 rushing touchdowns this season, and last year had 13 for the entire year. Alex Barnes was a one-man wrecking machine in the K-State backfield a year ago. There's no denying that. So naturally, I had to ask Coach Kleiman how he would replace the production. The numbers are now starting to make sense with what he had to say.
Yeah, and we've made pretty much no bones about it. This is what we're going to do. It's like you want to have one quarterback. Well, you better not just have one running back a lot of times. You need to have a multitude of running backs and wide receivers and tight ends because they all are going to be able to contribute. And you don't know which guy is going to be that guy that makes the big play, but I think that's the difference in the teams that are successful and not successful. Is the teams that are successful, the guy that didn't make the play is as happy for his brother that did make that play. And so I'm looking forward to. I like the running back room. I really do. Coach Anderson will do a great job with those guys, but there's some talent there.
You also have a quarterback in Skylar Thompson who through 3 games still hasn't thrown an interception and is at a 68% completion rate, which for a team that currently averages 19 pass attempts a game is important to make each and every one of those counts. And speaking of solid quarterback play, hello Spencer Sanders. This dude leads all freshmen nationally by averaging 304 yards of total offense per game. He's also one of just 2 players in the country to rank in the top 50 in both rushing yards and passing yards, joining Oklahoma's Jalen Hurts. The Cowboys actually got more AP Top 25 votes this week after a close loss to Texas than they did the week before. People are really starting to take notice of Oklahoma State, and they should. The Chuba Hubbard-Spencer Sanders combo hasn't been stopped yet. The Pokes may have dropped last week's game against Texas, but Hubbard and Sanders still combined for nearly 500 yards of total offense. Obviously, something's going to have to give this weekend. This easily could be the most entertaining game of the Saturday slate. Or, if you're into second-year quarterbacks duking it out, I've got one for you down in Waco. Iowa State at Baylor, also looking to be a really good game this weekend. Let's start with that road team. Iowa State broke all kinds of records last weekend against Louisiana Monroe. Brock Purdy became the first player in Big 12 history to have over 400 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game. His 330 yards per game and 73.5% completion percentage also ranks second in the league right now.
You know, Brock is a young man that when you watch him play, he's got complete ownership of the how-to playing the game. And, you know, it doesn't really matter what play gets called on the sideline. Brock's a guy that's got complete ownership of everything going on in that football field at that time. And I think that's what really makes him special, and he's got a great understanding of the game.
And then there's Charlie Brewer, who quietly has the 3rd highest efficiency rating in the Big 12. He's got a live arm and a willingness to run somebody over, and that makes Brewer just as big of a threatening signal caller as anybody. Coach Rule knows he's got a good one in Charlie Brewer, and with the right pieces in place around him this year, Baylor fans should be really excited about what the immediate future holds.
He's great with his feet. He's done a lot for us as a quarterback with not always having the protection that he deserves and the run game that he needs. And when he has had that, like in the Vanderbilt game, to me he's been beyond explosive. And so I think as the rest of our team has developed around him, I think you'll see Charlie go out there and play at an unbelievably high level. He's such a competitive kid. He's such a winner that he really has. He's the guy that can take our team to the next level.
We'll kick that game off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Now, we've made our way all the way back around to the morning slate of games. 11 a.m. on FS1 is where you're going to find Kansas visiting TCU. Both teams run the heck out of the ball, and both teams have the horses to do it. Kansas's rushing attack got slowed down a bit last week by West Virginia, but quarterback Carter Stanley stepped up once again and kept the Jayhawks alive throughout that game. Stanley in his last 2 games is completing passes at a 75% clip. He's totaled 513 yards and 6 touchdowns, and matched with that KU run game, that offense has got a good thing going right now. TCU has struggled a bit to get the passing attack going to this point, but that TCU run game cannot be ignored. Darius Anderson is in the top 7 in every statistical category right now. Just needs to get a little help from that passing game to give TCU's offense the balance that they need. But the Frogs' defense, goodness. And that man in the middle, Garrett Wallow, has been wrecking havoc. Wallow not only leads the Big 12, but also the entire nation in tackles for loss, averaging 3 a game. He's also 3rd in the country in total tackles, 14 per contest. This dude is everywhere. This is definitely a springboard game for these two teams. They both come in with tough losses from a week ago and need to improve in specific areas in a hurry, with conference play just getting underway. 11 a.m. FS1 is where you can see that game. Now, as always, let's finish things up with the top 5 plays from last weekend, courtesy of our friends at Stadium.
Flat right Thornton, bottom of your screen on Mims. Here's that 3rd down. Brewer, go route for Thornton, who gathers with the sprinter speed and makes the catch for
yards through the air and 2 touchdown runs. And he's got another man wide open. Tariq Milton. He went 73 yards last week, and Tariq Milton is going 73 yards again. He's just gone back to back.
Much in the box, got it thrown to the outside.
Ellinger downfield shot. Man wide open. Catch made. Brandon Eagles able to catch the sprinter. Touchdown, Texas. Reese Hall in the backfield. Mitchell keeps it. Shakes man. Oh, what a move by the freshman. He must have jelly in those hips because Jam don't shake like that.
We can see Alabama's statement, I think. didn't go so well.
2nd and 9 play action. Sanders has a lot of time, and he'll launch it downfield to Wallace, who does what he does. Comes back, beats 2 defenders, and makes a catch inside the Texas 40.
They're trying to keep 2 defenders on him, and he outruns them, and then goes up and makes the play in traffic. Ball's thrown behind him, so he adjusts back and goes.
It's good stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. Next week, all 10 teams are in action, so you know we're going to have a loaded show. Keep coming back for more, and we'll see you next weekend.